Hello, welcome to the fifth installment of the Scripture in a Year series hosted by Saints Peter and Paul Orthodox Church in the Albanian Archdiocese of the OCA. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, I am your God, be pleasing before me and blameless. I will establish my covenant between me and you, and will multiply you exceedingly. Then Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be a father of many nations. No longer shall your name be called Abram, but your name shall be called Abraham, for I have made you a father of many nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings shall come from you. I will establish my covenant between me and you, and your seed after you in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be your God and the God of your seed after you. Also I will give you and your seed after you the land you are occupying as a sojourner, all the land of Canaan, as an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. Then God said to Abraham, As for you, you shall keep my covenant, you and your seed after you throughout their generations. This is the covenant you shall keep between me and you and your seed after you throughout their generations. Every male child among you shall be circumcised, and you shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin. It shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. A child of 8 days old shall be circumcised by you, every male child throughout your genealogy. He who is born in your house, he who is bought with your money, must be circumcised, and my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised male child, who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin on the 8th day, that soul shall be cut off from his people, for he has broken my covenant. Then God said to Abraham, As for Sarai your wife, you shall not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. And I will bless her, and I will also give you a son by her. And I will bless him, and he shall become nations, and kings of people shall be from him. Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed, and said in his mind, Shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? And shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child? And Abraham said to God, Oh, that Ishmael might live before you. Then God said, No, Sarah your wife shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I have blessed him, and will increase and multiply him exceedingly. He shall beget 12 nations, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear you, at this time next year. So God finished talking with Abraham, and departed from him. So Abraham took Ishmael his son, all who were born in his house, and all who were bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and he circumcised the flesh of their foreskins that very same day, as God had said to him. Now Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, and Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. That very same day Abraham was circumcised, and his son Ishmael. Also all the men of his house, born in the house or bought with money from a foreigner, were circumcised with him. Then God appeared to him at the oak of Mamre as he was sitting in the tent door during the noon hour. So he lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men stood before him. And when he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them, and bowed himself to the ground and said, O Lord, if I have now found grace in your sight, do not pass by your servant. Let water be brought, and let them wash your feet while you cool yourselves under the tree. And I will bring bread for you to eat, that you may pass by, inasmuch as you have come to your servant. They said, Do as you have said. So Abraham hurried to the tent to Sarah and said, Quickly, make ready 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes. Then Abraham ran to the herd, took a young calf, tender and good, gave it to his servant, and he hastened to prepare it. He also took butter and milk, and the calf he prepared, and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree as they ate. Then he said to him, Where is Sarah, your wife? He replied, Here in the tent. Again he said, I will certainly return to you according to the time of life, and behold, Sarah your wife shall have a son." Sarah was listening in the tent door behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, well advanced in age, and Sarah had passed the age of childbearing. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, "I have not yet had a child until now, and my Lord is old also?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh within herself, saying, 'Shall I surely bear a child since I am old?' Is anything impossible with God? At the appointed time I will return to you, according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son." But Sarah denied she had laughed, for she was afraid, saying, "I did not laugh." But he said, "No, but you did laugh." Then the men rose from there and looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah. And Abraham went along and escorted them on their journey. Then the Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham, my servant, what I am about to do? But Abraham shall surely become a great and populous nation, and in him all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. For I know he will order his sons and his house after him. They will keep the way of the Lord, to do righteousness and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham what he has spoken to him." Then the Lord said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah has been completed, and their sins are exceedingly great. Therefore I will go down now and see whether or not they are carrying out the outcry coming to me concerning them." Then the men turned away from there and went toward Sodom, but Abraham remained before the Lord. So Abraham drew near and said, "Would you also destroy the righteous with the ungodly? Suppose there were 50 righteous within the city. Would you also destroy the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing as this, to slay the righteous with the wicked, that the righteous should be as the wicked. Far be it from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right?" Then the Lord said, "If I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes." So Abraham answered and said, "Indeed now I, who am but dust and ashes, have taken it upon myself to speak to the Lord. But suppose there were 5 less than 50 righteous. Would you destroy all of the city for lack of 5? He replied, "If I find there 45, I will not destroy it." Again he spoke to him and said, "But suppose there should be 40 found there." He said, "I would not destroy it for the sake of 40. Then he said, "Let not the Lord be offended, and I will speak. Suppose 30 should be found there." So he said, "I would not destroy it if I should find 30 there." Again he said, "Since I have permission to speak to the Lord, suppose 20 should be found there." So he said, "I would not destroy it for the sake of 20. Then he said, "Let not the Lord be offended, and I will speak but once more. Suppose 10 should be found there." So he said, "I would not destroy it for the sake of 10. So the Lord went his way, and as soon as he finished speaking with Abram, and Abraham returned to his place. Now the 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When he saw them, he rose to meet them, and bowed with his face toward the ground. Then he said, "Behold, my lords, turn to your servant's house, and rest and wash your feet. Then you may rise early and go on your way." But they said, "No, but we will spend the night in the open square." But he insisted strongly, so that they turned into him and entered his house. And he made them a feast, and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Now before they went to sleep, the men of the city, the Sodomites, both old and young, all the people from every quarter, surrounded the house. Thus they called to Lot and said to him, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may have relations with them." But Lot went out to them through the doorway, shut the door behind him, and said, "By no means, my brethren, do not act wickedly. I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you may do to them as you wish. Only do nothing to these men, since this is the reason they have come under the protection of my roof." But they said, "Stand back. You came in to sojourn among us. Was it also to be making judgments? Now we will deal worse with you than with them." So they pressed hard against the man Lot, and came near to breaking down the door. But the men reached out their hands, pulled Lot into the house with them, and shut the door. And they struck the men at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, and they became weary trying to find the door. Now the men said to Lot, "Have you anyone here in the city, sons-in-law, sons, daughters, or anyone? Then take them out of this place, for we will destroy this place because their outcry has become great before the Lord, and the Lord sent us to destroy it." So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who had married his daughters, and said, "Get up, get out of this place, for the Lord is about to wipe out this city." But to his sons-in-law he seemed to be joking. Now when the morning dawned, the angels urged Lot to hurry, saying, "Arise, take your wife and the 2 daughters you have, and get out, lest you be destroyed with the transgressions of the city." But they were thrown into confusion, and the Lord, being merciful to him, the angels seized his hands and the hands of his wife and 2 daughters, and brought them outside the city. So it came to pass, when they had brought them outside, they said, "Escape for your life, do not look behind you, nor stay anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest you be overtaken." Then Lot said to them, "I pray, O Lord, since your servant found mercy in your sight, and you magnified your righteousness, which you showed me by saving my life, nevertheless I cannot escape to the mountains, lest some evil overtake me and I die. See now, this city, which is small, is near enough to flee to for refuge, and I shall escape there. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live." And he said to him, "See, I have acquiesced to you in this matter also, and that I will not overthrow this city concerning which you have spoken. Therefore hurry to escape there, for I cannot do anything until you arrive there." For this reason he called the name of that city Zoar. Now the sun rose upon the earth when Lot entered Zoar. Then the Lord rained brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of heaven. Thus he overthrew those cities, all the plain, all the inhabitants of the cities, and whatever grew on the ground. But his wife looked back behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Then Abraham rose early in the morning and went to the place where he had stood before the Lord. Then he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the plain. And he saw, and behold, a flame was ascending from the land, like the smoke of a furnace. So it came to pass, when God wiped out all the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham and set Lot out of the midst of the destruction, when the Lord overthrew the cities where Lot had dwelt. Then Lot with his 2 daughters went up from Zoar, and settled in the mountains, for he was afraid to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave with his 2 daughters. Now the firstborn said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is no man on the earth to come in to us, as is the custom of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may raise up seed from our father." So they made their father drink wine that night, and the elder went in and lay with her father, and he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. It happened on the next day, the elder said to the younger, "Indeed, I slept with our father last night. Let us make him drink wine tonight also, and you go in and lie with him, that we may raise up seed from our father." So they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger went in and slept with him, but he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. Thus both the daughters of Lot conceived by their father. Then the elder bore a son, and called his name Moab, saying, "He is from my father. He is the father of the Moabites to this present day." Now the younger also bore a son, and called his name Ammon, saying, "The son of my family. He is the father of the Ammonites to this present day."